If you're hurt, we'll come and check on you first and then run away if you're
that's
hurt.
cool. That's a cool little touch.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Gonzalez, and with me today is my good old friend, J.E.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing okay. Been playing a decent amount of games. I'm excited for Apex tomorrow. That's what I'm really excited about. 9v9, new season. It's going to be cool. Mad Maggie, not super excited about, but always down for new season. I want to see what the new reactive gun skin is for the season pass. And then 9v9 is what I'm most excited about. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow or tonight, really.
Heck yeah, 9v9. Fucking 9v9. But those are not the games that we are talking about today. Today we are creating something new. Every week, We Are Not Game Devs will create a new, exciting video game idea that we have always wanted to play, but do not have any knowledge or know how to create the wonderful experience that are video games. And today is my turn to present We Are Not Game Devs 192nd IP. Let's begin with the basic concept. One sec. Okay. So, I want to create a game where it's a story mode that you play, but I want it to be almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where you're playing through the game, but when you wake up, the game will have progressed and you won't remember why because something happened. And the big feature of this game is this is all going on and people don't know, like people are trying to figure it out and figure out what your main character is doing without you. And you kind of have to piece it together and it's part of the growing mystery. But the great secret about this is when you're not playing, there's another player playing your character from where you left off and then leaves it to you at the end of the level. So once you like beat the game, or some kind of feature will allow you to play the other version of your character. But I think it would be really cool is if it like you pass it on. And then you kind of felt similarly in the sense that maybe when your character goes to bed, you have dreams and you play these dreams where they're skinned and they look different. So it's like you are playing through the main character, but it doesn't feel that way. And you're progressing somebody else's story. But once you kind of understand, you can piece together what you're doing. I don't know. This is what I got so far.
Okay. I like the multiplayer idea, but the idea I had going for when you're saying what you're going for until the multiplayer portion wouldn't necessarily work for what I was trying to go towards, but I really like that idea. I mean, how tied are you to the multiplayer idea? Because I have an idea for that too and how that would work. So whichever one you like better, I could. I
just want to make a cool game. Yeah. So either way it works.
All right, I'll explain both, and you could see which one you like better. So what I have in mind for the multiplayer stuff, obviously the game won't tell you that this game is online, quote unquote. But when you first log in and you press start, create new game, it doesn't tell you, but it matchmakes you with someone who's at that particular point also in the game, right? And both ways that I have an idea for it takes place where this is kind of like an escape room situation where as a player you only have a small, not one room per se, but it's a small space that you could go and explore, but it's like enough where you could notice if something went wrong, right? Or something isn't where you left it. But the idea is trying to get out of this room by solving whatever puzzles are around. And so you do all that. And then, like you said, something happens, you go to sleep. And then you wake up, and then you as a player, you keep playing, but you've noticed things have changed around. What's actually happening is when the time limit hits and you're going to sleep, you are being transferred to the person that you're match made with, and you're transferred to their game, and you're being left off where they just left off. Do you get what I mean? And then they
Yeah, so it's like you
game.
wake up, and since you both completed the objective, it would seem as though you're waking up in your level, but you're actually waking up in a different person's level.
Or it's not that you finish your objective, it's just that it's like a time thing. Yeah, time ran out. And then you flip, and then you start messing in that side, and then you flip again, but now you're in your own game again, and they're in their own game. But I think what would be cool is if your objectives, let's say this was like an Among Us situation, your objectives are different. Like you have different jobs to get out of the room. And so when you go back and flip, you realize, oh, I thought I did these to do my objective, but now they're like moved around, and so I can't do it. So maybe I'm going to have to try to move it back so I can do my objective again. And then you get flipped, and then you're going to notice that someone messed with what you were trying to do again. You know, like it's confusing, but that's the idea, that you both have different things to do, but they coincide with another. So whenever you flip sides, you're trying to fix it up again. And then eventually people are going to catch on, oh, this is a multiplayer game. I just never knew. And then it's like first person to be able to solve the puzzle quicker and stop the other guy from disrupting, or keep the other guy from disrupting enough, like get ahead of their disrupting so you could finish faster than them, and they're going to try to do the same thing to you. That's the multiplayer idea I had. For the other idea, it's same idea, escape room situation, where periodically, every time you finish an objective, you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, but yeah, everything's moved around, but it's like some things are slight differences and some things are major differences. And you as a player have to like learn and spot the differences of what happened while you're asleep, and then fix those again, and then solve the next objective. And it's a continual cycle like that. You know what I mean?
I was thinking, instead of a room, let's just make it where it's like one village that you stay in, because I'd want it to be something where this playthrough, like you're going to play through it, and things can happen where different villagers can die. You can get bonds with better villagers. And I think it would be really cool if you came back and things were time skipped a little bit, where maybe somebody kills a villager or someone does all this.
See, that would be really cool in multiplayer, or single player version of it. But if it's multiplayer, it has to be like one room that's easy to manage.
Yeah.
And you're switching sides quickly, because you can't expect a multiplayer opponent to stay there for hours. So this has to be like a 15-minute thing, you know?
That's what I was leaning more towards single player, I guess, in that aspect, because they can complete quests, or they can unlock certain things, or they can become adversarial with somebody else, and then you can kind of come back in and do your own thing, and see where it goes from there. I think it's kind of like, it'd be cool to I think this game could be really, really cool in the sense that there could be other NPCs helping you out, like trying to describe to you what's happening, till eventually it gets to the point where like you rewind time and you see it is you running around, but not you. But it's kind of like that telltale feature where everyone can tell by movements what's an NPC and what's a player. So like that first time you travel back in time and like you're looking and you're like, that's a fucking player. That dude's alive. No, that's a human being fucking up my game right now. Okay. So, and then I think it would be cool where you can travel back in time and maybe stop them if you want or not, and then kind of see what you can do. Where I want this to have a little bit of almost like Majora's Mask elements in there, where you're like, well, now that I've traveled back in time, I can complete completely new quests, or I can stop somebody from dying, but I can't stop everything. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want it to be so much where it's adversarial, where you're having to kill this person unless you really want to, but more like now you have more choices. Where did you want that villager to live, or do you want to advance another person's story that you missed out on this day?
Yeah. I mean, I could totally see where you're going with it in terms of it story-wise and what you could do while you're awake and stuff. but I could only see it working as a wholly single player game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
unless there was a strange, like Deathloop style, like a stranger or an outside character that's in the story that invades your universe and messes with stuff. But it would be hard to do it where it's like every time you log off, because what if you just never log off? You know what I mean? Then you're just not missing, you're missing that entire
I think it would
portion.
be, yeah, like in-game time that you have to do stuff. So, and I don't want it to be necessarily where like a player can come in and just fuck your shit up, where like you come back and like nothing where it's like a whole RPG where you come back and everybody's dead and there's nobody alive. You're just like, what? Why is everyone dead in their homes? Everyone's dead in their bed. What happened? No, I don't want it to be like that. I'd want it to be where it's a full functioning like small little village. And if you kill people, there's going to be other people after you. And there's no way that you can kill everybody at once. And there's no way that you can complete the whole game at once. But there's certain things or certain side quests available on each and every day at certain nights that are unique that you can participate in or not choose to participate in.
I feel like it doesn't like completely.
I want
different...
there to be replayability. I don't know. I was thinking because I also want there to be replayability in the sense that different villages are doing different stuff, but you're gonna want to kind of get into whatever you want to get into or see what another person got into.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I think Majora's Mask is definitely the best comparison where I feel like when you start a new game, you're exploring this village and you're doing certain things, and then there's like a progressive, let's say there is a progressive day and night cycle where at a certain time at night, your character's like, well, it's time to go home. I need to go to sleep or whatever. And then screen fades to black and then you wake up in your bed the next day type of thing. And then if you don't finish certain side quests, there's like fail states for side quests where you have to finish it that before the night ends, or there's some that are multi-day, and then some side quests and some characters, they won't give you that quest until like the third day or the second day or the night of the fourth day type of thing. A certain character will be there. But if you don't get that to that point, you won't be able to do any of that content. And I think all these side quests, not all of them, but most of them will funnel to the mystery of what is happening underneath, as like the mystery of why you are forgetting what's happening and who is, or what you're doing at night type of thing, and the mystery that surrounds that whole thing. I'm assuming you are some serial killer at night, but during the day, you don't have any recollection of it, is where I'm going with the story. Is that the idea of it?
It doesn't necessarily even have to be that. It could be just like, due to the nature of who you are, like maybe this used to be a problem, but it wasn't for a long time because maybe that you locked up your house, right? And now that's not the case anymore. And it's like, it depends. I think it could be dependent on what you do at night could affect what it is in the day. I think there's just going to have to be some introductory scenes, like kind of hinting at stuff. Whether that be like in your house, you're right, something would have changed. So if you killed somebody, there'd be like blood on your hands. Or if you worked on the construction site to like maybe build a better building, there's going to be like dirt tracks and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, I'm down for all that stuff. What if we also made it so depending on what side quest you decide to go after, that becomes like whoever. Okay, I don't know if you want to commit to this, but every night when you go to sleep, there's a murder that happens in this village. And the person that gets murdered is whoever the main. I think every night there'll be a main couple of people that you could help or like interact with. And the main story person that you decide on, that's you've all of a sudden went down that path. That person or someone around them is going to die, and that's like part of the story. It's not going to be that person every time, but it could be their boyfriend or like their son or like,
I like that.
And then so each night it could be each playthrough could be a different order of murders that happen. And I feel that, yeah, eventually you're going to have to do that whole blow your mind. This is what's happening. Here's all the flashbacks of what really happened when you were asleep type of situation. And then maybe we'll even make those like playable, where like now you're playing as the person that takes over.
That's what I was thinking, is not only like playing as who?
Whatever is taking over your conscious.
I was thinking we could just do like you can have like an item that lets you rewind to a night. And then you can kind of, you would have that person who took over and is doing their thing, and you can either stop them or try to advance somebody else's story. Because there's going to be some times where I'm like, yeah, I mean, they died.
Maybe that's kind of like a Life is Strange 1, like soft rewind function where you could like change the alter of a past.
Yeah, a couple things.
So like, let's say, okay, what if it was like this? So you we already kind of decided like every night you kind of help there's going to be multiple main stories that you have to choose between, and then that results in a different result. But you could go back and change that result, but that means someone else might probably die.
Yes.
Because
with different things, so you'd be pulling at different strings. So it'd almost be like, okay, so that person was there since chapter 1. Yeah. Well, that means that they did this and that and this that resulted in this person going to the dock at this time and doing this. Right. So you don't even know about all that, because now you went back to chapter 2 and you're waking up in chapter 7, and there's all these cascading things that happen that now you have to catch up with. Yeah. So it's kind of like, do you want to fuck with your timeline or not? What do you want to do here?
And maybe it could be a mechanic where something major comes up, and then the game will tell you, maybe this wouldn't have happened if this person didn't die. Do you want to go back and change that decision? And then that's.
I think it would be great if this game's getting off the wall, if what you have inside of you is a demon, and the demon talks to you and everything, and I think maybe eventually, once you find out what's happening at night, the demon will come in, and then the demon will grant you the power. Like, why don't you go back? And I want it to be one of those demons where it's not out to get you, but it's just one of those people who's like, I want to mess things up. I want to cause you as much trouble as possible, while also not being on your bad side, like not like being a complete antagonist, but I am
just chaotic neutral.
Right, where it's like, do you want to go back? And then you go back and you fix something, and you find out that the chapters change. It's like, yeah, what? You didn't think that everything else would be the same, did you?
Yeah.
And you just hear like the demon laugh as you go back. And you're like, what?
You say demon, but I imagine it being like you started this whole thing off with Jekyll and Hyde, so it's just you, whoever the character is,
yeah,
but
like some
evil version,
like some green goblin from Spider-Man type of stuff.
Yeah. That's how I imagine how it looks. If we ever embody the Hyde or whatever version, then it'll just look like a evil version of the character.
So to continue, we now know, is this game like, let's do the nuts and bolts. Are you doing I'm thinking this is probably going to be like first person, not third person, or do you want it to be third person?
This whole time I imagined this as like a Telltale style third person walking around talking to people.
Okay, that's what I imagined it being too, talking to people. And there could be like some sort of combat, but it's not like the mainstay of the game. It's going to be very simple, something that you can do.
Yeah. Kind of like vampire.
And go from
vampire.
I don't know about, and then you can collect items, use those items. But yeah, mostly it's walkie-talkie type of game. Yeah. Cool.
I'm down for very light combat where there's like certain situations and it's kind of like hack and slash dodging type of thing.
Yeah. But by no means is anybody an expert here at combat, nor is anyone summoning or getting special powers in that nature. All right. What sounds do you think are going to be in this game? What music?
I imagine this village to be like a small suburban shithole town in the middle of America, nowhere. And the music they listen to ranges from country to rock to indie. And so that's what I imagine it to be. Like, just like when you're in the bar, they're playing like classic rock. When you're out about town, you hear like acoustic guitar from some performer. When you're, I don't know, at home, it's just a generic pop song type of thing. You know what I mean? It's just generic licensed music, but I think it's going to kind of be like how Life is Strange does it, where it's like generic sounding genres, but it's just all from bands that in real life no one really knows. But we have the classic country sounding song, we have the classic rock sounding song, and then so on. So we just have music in it.
Okay. What's this game looking like? I think it's just a village, so the game can look pretty good. Like, I'm not saying that, oh, it's just a village. What I'm saying is you're going to have the same setting throughout the whole story.
Yeah.
So you can reiterate upon the setting. Of course, the setting is going to change eventually from chapter to chapter as there's long-lasting effects, but the majority of it you'll be using the same assets.
Right. I mean, in terms of how it looks, I just imagine, like, I haven't mentioned this at the beginning, but I have slowly been going through Life is Strange True Colors. So this game just looks and feels like Life is Strange True Colors to me. Which isn't.
I played none of those games.
It's not an insult because I if you've ever looked at Life is Strange, it's kind of like, whoa, that's an ugly looking video game. But True Colors is actually really pretty, and it's actually a really good looking video game.
It's like a semi-realistic kind of looking guy.
Kinda, but it has like a cartoony look to it. Realistic, but you could tell they're not real people. You know, like, we're not going for realism, but it's realistic.
Gotcha. Not going for realism, but it's realistic.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jay, let's get your timer out because we're going to name this game.
Ready, go. Sleepwalker.
When we sleep. What was your sleepwalk?
Sleepwalker.
2 on the nose.
You think? When we sleep isn't?
Well, at least they're like, well, what happens when we sleep? But with sleepwalk, they're like, it's me. It's a me, Mario, and I'm doing all this. Or someone else is sleepwalking. What if we called it Daydream?
I like Daydream. 28 seconds.
Daydream is a walking, talking type of game where you play a character in a village. And there's a day-night cycle where every day you have to go to sleep. At night, a player is going to take over your game and make decisions for you, and you must live with those decisions each and every day. But you also make the decisions for others. Through this unravels a delicate, complicated, complex tale where there's time travel, mystery solving, and more in Daydream. All right. We've got a game here, Jay. What do you think? Would this be a game you'd want to play, and is it fun?
Yes, it is my type of game. I'll give it a shot. I thought we weren't going for the multiplayer component, but as you said it, I figured out a way we can implement the multiplayer component. What if the devil inside of you could choose to turn this on and off in the options before you even start a new game? You could be like, do you want this functionality on or off? The game is meant to play like this or whatever, where it's like every other chapter completely skips. And so you play chapter 1, skip chapter 2, you play chapter 3, but you have to, like, it gives you a previously on each, like, chapter. And then, like, it tells you what happened, but you're like, I don't remember any of that. But another player came in and made all the decisions, and you have to live from there. And then that gives you a reason why you're like, well, I hated this choice that I didn't make. So then there's like, you want to go back in time and reverse that choice? And you'd be like, yes.
And that's when you find out. And I don't even want it to be like, you made the choice. You wake up and they're like, they're mad at you for this. You did this. This is what happened at night while you slept. And you can keep saying while you slept. So you're like, then who did it? What? And that's where it kind of comes in.
Yeah. I like
that. This would be a game I'd want to play. I'd have to make sure, like, this would be one of those games where I wouldn't but help. Like, I'd need a guide. After I figured out what was going halfway through the game, I'd probably look up a guide and be like, damn. So I missed out on the chance to romance this one villager because I did this, this, and this. And I don't want to do that. So, but definitely be a game that I'd want to play. All right. Now that we have a complete game here, what game studio would you choose to make Daydream?
First of all, Deck 9. It's already kind of something that feels very Life is Strange-y. And since Deck 9 kind of took over for whoever developed Life is Strange 1 and 2, I don't remember, sorry. But Deck 9 has been doing some cool stuff.
Okay. I want to go with a redemption story. These people release just a little game here, and they just want to show you that they go back to their bread and butter, to relationships, to story building, to interpersonal connections, and you find out that this game is made by BioWare.
No way.
See, wait, you be like, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Sure.
What do you mean BioWare's doing this?
A giant sci-fi world creators is like, no, we want to make a small-time village in the middle of nowhere, America.
A village, a contemporary village in the middle of nowhere, where things are happening and
no
strange.
shooting. We're just gonna talks.
We're gonna talk and walk. Yes.
I always mention this game studio. I think they're one of my favorite game studios, and I can't wait for their new game this year and see if it's any good. But Big Bad Wolf Studio. They made, in my opinion, the greatest Telltale-like, the greatest walking sim I've ever played, The Council. Only because it had RPG mechanics where you could buy skills and like it improves on your like detective ability to like find clues on this mystery that you're trying to solve in this Telltale-like game. And their new game, Vampire Masquerade, looks like it's going to be really good. But yeah, Big Bad Wolf Studios.
Yeah, now I'll just rapid fire. Fulbright's another good one, I think. I just feel like I mentioned them too much. Although it's been episodes, right? That I haven't talked about them. I think they could do it too, and this would be another great new mix to what they already offer. Any more from you, Jay, on your side?
I mean,
no pressure.
New Telltale, I guess.
And with that, our 192nd IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that will probably never release. You can write to @poundgames@gmail.com if you have anything to patch into the game we created today. Also, give us feedback. We're still learning how to make this show better, and your feedback really helps. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to back our ideas, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Patrons receive episodes 2 days early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which you got the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. If you liked our show, why not subscribe and give us all the stars on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, YouTube, and more. And if they ask for a review, instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review Daydream, the video game we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We will be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is AG.
And I'm Jay Yee.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs.
I forgot the most obvious developer. Of course, this game has to be part of the Dark Pictures anthology under Supermassive Games because it's what they do, man. Like, if you didn't know how, at least Man and Medan was like this, I don't know if the rest of the games were like this, but the Dark Pictures anthology is, if you're playing over the internet, you play as one character and you're doing all the Telltale shit. And there's usually a cast of 5 people in these games. And then whoever you're playing online with, they're playing as whoever else is doing decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you get back together, you don't know what your friend that you're playing with made their decisions unless you talked about it and made the decisions together. But I think it's more fun to be like, no, make your decisions. Don't tell me. And I want to like figure it out on my side of the story. It kind of doesn't work a whole 100% in Man and Medan. But I mean, I think they probably learned, and I want to play the rest of the Dark Pictures anthology. I just have to find someone to play them with. Already, I told you, Ashley Tisdale, shout out to Ashley Tisdale. She's in the third one. And she's a really cool person, and I want to check out that game that I don't remember the name of, but Supermassive.
And a very nice woman. I am happy with this game, with the way it turned out. I think it'd be an interesting one.
Agreed.